Hello. Happy Friday. Ayana has decided to relax a little bit while she's watching her favorite movie, The Greatest Showman. And I thought, well, I'm in between clients, and I thought that I would come on and talk about my experience going to Atlanta and just kind of, share everything that happened and just reflect a little bit. I'm a completely changed person. Such amazing things that happened. So want to talk about, first I'll just back up, because maybe not everybody knows that I went to Atlanta, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I went to Atlanta because I had decided this year that I was going to really listen to my inner voice, and that whenever something really spoke to me, that I was going to go for it, that I wasn't going to start to weigh things out and all that. And luckily I have a super supportive family as well. So I was able to go on this trip. It was crazy. So first of all, let's talk about what happened at the airport. So flying, having a really, good experience, getting to the airport, no snags, no bumps, nothing like that. Everything was great. I get to the Atlanta airport, and this is where this comes in, where you really need to trust your subconscious. And this is really the trainings that I went to in Atlanta. It's really about learning more about your subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is really where things will happen. In a nutshell, let me just put this out here right now. Your conscious mind, the best way that I can explain it, and I know this sounds kind of negative and nasty, but your subconscious mind is like a cock blocker. It really is. It's almost like you have to look at it like, excuse me, get out of my way. You're really slowing me down, or you're really, you are really trying to talk me out of things. So your conscious mind, it distorts, it generalizes, and it deletes things, okay? And for example, you and I could be looking at the same thing happening, and we will experience it a completely different way, because the way that we model our world and the way that our conscious mind has been conditioned. So anyway, let's talk about that for a second with regard to what happened to me at the airport. So everything was great, and this is a really great example of how the conscious mind almost got in my way, okay? So get to the rental car place. I mean, we're talking, this is the Atlanta airport, and there are flight after flight after flight. There's people everywhere. It's a very chaotic type of a situation. You got to take these trains and these escalators and all this stuff. So I'm like, whoo, I finally make it to the rental car. I get there, and now mind you, I have to share this. Now, some people might be like, yeah, right, but I swear. Prior to taking the tram over to the rental car place, I had this thought about my wallet. And I thought, well, I didn't think anything about it. Nothing. I just knew that the thought of my wallet came up in my mind, and never thought anything about it after that until later. So I get to the rental car place, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here to rent my car. So excited. Everything's great. Da-da-da. And I'm going, oh my God, panic. No wallet. I'm sweating. I'm basically like, all kinds of crazy thoughts are going through my mind. I'm literally shaking. I'm nervous. I feel invaded. I'm like, oh my God, it was just the worst feeling ever. And so I had this awareness of these thoughts. You can't go to the class. You have to go home. You can't get the car. When you did talk to them when you scheduled your class, and you didn't know if your dad's neck was going to be okay, because my stepdad had surgery, they did say that you could possibly reschedule if you needed to. So all these things. So my conscious mind was basically being very fear-based and not, helping me out. And so that was a prime example. So it was interesting, because I was able to take that experience into class the next day and say, you know what? I am 1,000% in the right place. I am absolutely 1,000% in the right place, because that right there is an absolute example of what we learned in class called living in effect. Meaning that when you don't own the responsibility of what happened. I absolutely 1000% have to own responsibility of what happened with that wallet being misplaced. Now, whether it be the purse I carried, whether it be me not paying attention, there is a lesson there. So once I calmed down, and my sister, thank God, my sister came and she's like, wait a minute, like, let's not run to anything hasty, because we were trying to figure all this stuff out. Should she rent a car and then I'll pay her and then I'll drive her car and all this crazy stuff? She's like, you know what? Let's just go home. We'll figure this out. So thank God she did. And I had said to her, I'm going to manifest a phone call that says, Mrs. Dunlap, we have your wallet. Luckily, they did call me at 1:30 in the morning. I did get my wallet back. Everything was in there except for the money. And I was more than happy to give that money to whoever it was that needed it. More than happy. I hope that they used it for groceries or whatever it was. I hope that it gave them a sense of relief in whatever it was that they needed. So I got my wallet back. Everything is fine. However, so let's go back to living in effect. So I had to really ask myself the question, what is the lesson that I need to learn here? I learned a lot of lessons from that, a lot. And it really goes back to also, once again, like I said, your conscious mind versus your subconscious mind. They're two different things. I mean, it's amazing what I learned about how, let me just tell you this, how much we are actually perceiving. We're only getting a very, very, very small amount of what we're actually, I guess, recording. Your subconscious mind records everything. And I don't know exactly, I can't remember what the subconscious mind, how much it is that we get per minute, but I want to say we get like 126 bits of that very large amount. Super, super crazy. So I think there was an analogy that was used in the pre-course study that talked about, think of a million, I think this is what it was, think of a million toothpicks and you get 126 of the toothpicks. So think of that. Isn't that insane? So the whole wallet scenario, first of all, right there, that was, again, I think the lesson also too was, are you ready to up level your shit? Are you ready for this? You know, or are you just going to turn back around and live in fear and go home and play it safe? You know what I'm saying? And that was what was going through my mind. So the good news is no, I was very uncomfortable. I did feel pretty sick about the whole thing. So anyway, once I knew that I got my wallet back and I got my rental car and everything was great, and my stay with my sister, luckily it was a great experience in that regard, and I just drove 45 minutes there and back every day. I literally woke up, ate, packed my lunch for the day. I took peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and protein shakes. Thank God I'm in a refeed at this moment because I was able to, you know, really eat. I have a large amount of calories that I have to eat right now. So eating PB&Js made it very easy on me. So, and then I would go home, eat dinner, and literally just go to bed. I mean, I was tanked. You know, there's 8 hours of class every day. And we had such an amazing group of people. There was 31 of us, plus an instructor and 2 other people that were there that were assisting. Talk about bonding. Like, talk about having a whole separate family. And if you're somebody that is on the fence when it comes to, you know, taking courses or, you know, taking time away from your family, do it. Hit that discomfort. Hit that boundary. For example, I want to say it was day 2 or day 3, and we were starting to get practical and doing these exercises, but I'll talk to you about a lot of the stuff that I had learned in just a moment, but I just wanted to preface everything with a little bit of information. But I had said to our instructor, Ryan, who I actually absolutely love, I had said, you know, I feel a little insecure today. And that's okay. I don't mind feeling insecure, but I said, you know, is this normal? I came in feeling so confident, had all my pre-studies done. And then it was just this one day that I felt a little bit like, you know, like that. And he looked at me and he asked me some of those NLP questions, you know, and what I mean by NLP questions is he's basically, you ask specific questions to kind of get the person to share the information, not the content of the information, but you're looking for keywords and things that will kind of help you to really understand the underlying real issue. So we talked about it a little bit, and, you know, we basically said, this is how you should feel. This course is basically constructed in the manner that you are going to be pushed to those boundaries. You are going to feel a little bit insecure, you know? And so it also just brought up some of my limiting beliefs, which we're going to talk about that in just a second. And, you know, just being vulnerable and working through this really helped me to release a lot of that stuff. So had a wonderful time, spent every single day with these people. We got vulnerable, we got real, we cried, we laughed until we cried. If my friend Troy is watching, he and I we could not get to this one exercise without crying, but it was like one of the best feelings ever. So I want to talk to you about exactly, you know, what is it that I learned? People are like, what the hell is NLP? Okay, so NLP is basically neuro-linguistic programming. It's something that is, in other words, it's communication of the brain. I mean, I really don't know exactly how to like word that part of it, but it's really fascinating that we all have our own unique type of communication. And so it's really, it's a tool that will help me to better communicate with my clients, to better communicate with myself, my family, all of that, because we all have audio digital, meaning that we all have self-talk and all that stuff. But in other words, you know, I help people to rid of their negative emotions, limiting beliefs, internal conflict. So negative emotions, that would include things like anger. I have some of this stuff written down. Anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Okay, so these emotions really, truly begin when we are really, really small. So kind of like Ayana right now, you know, our subconscious is about 7 years old. So like Ayana right now, everything that she is internalizing and experiencing, it is absolutely 1000% through her subconscious mind. So she, for example, when she cries, this is the biggest thing that I learned. If she falls and hurts her knee, what do we as parents do? We want to hug them. It's okay. But in actuality, what we are doing is we are anchoring this feeling that she will always have when she gets a hug. So now I've learned that, okay, when she hurts herself, instead of hugging her, it's just going to be like, it's okay, you know, making sure she knows she's loved and nurtured, but in a completely different way. It won't be a hug. Okay, and so it's all about what the subconscious mind interprets and anchors with the specific feeling. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, let's say, for example, I'm in a position of laughing, and I just love it that I'm feeling, ha, 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 ha. I can take and anchor that in my ear or in my knuckles. These are areas that are not, you know, usually touched by anybody. What do you got in your mouth? Okay, silly. So we can do these things to recall a feeling. So kind of like when I talk to my clients, I would refer to triggers. Like if you hear a song, or if you think of trying to think, a song is a really good one. Even an essential oil, those are anchors. So certain things are called anchors. So if you want to anchor a specific feeling, or if you want to, you know, feel, you know, something that is like this amazing feeling, then, you know, we can anchor these feelings like in our knuckle or in our ear. So it was kind of funny because after a while I'm elbowing my friend Kyle and Jim. I'm going, anchor that, put that in your ear. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's just such an amazing thing. I just feel so, not overwhelmed, but I feel so full of information and content that I just can't even express. But I just want to share some simple things that perhaps that you can maybe take away today and say, oh my gosh, that's exactly what Kelly was talking about. Or, oh, that's what she meant, you know, that kind of thing. So then we're going to move on into limiting beliefs. So this is a really, really big one for a lot of us. So it was so funny because Ryan, our trainer, he would always ask for, you know, what do you call it? You know, just somebody to come up and help him out. And I was always, me, you know, and so every single time that I would say, oh, me, you know, he'd say, oh, that is more of a time techniques thing. And, you know, we'll talk about that in time techniques. I'm like, what the heck is this time technique stuff? Like, what is that all about? So time techniques, let me just tell you, that's a little harder for me to explain at this time, but just to kind of give you an idea in a nutshell of what the time techniques is, you are able to visualize your timeline So here's a good one that I was like, oh my God. When you visualize your timeline, so I want you to do this yourself. So just trust your subconscious. And when I mean that, just kind of like, whatever comes to your mind first, don't overthink it. So if you think of your timeline, meaning think of your future. What direction is it? And for some people, they might say it's this way. For some people, they might say it's that way. For some people, they might say it's that way or this way or this way. Everybody has their own direction. And so what I found was so fascinating was my time, I see my future this way and my past that way. So I'm kind of in this direction where some people might be on an angle. So with regard to the timeline, what we are able to do is we're able to take the client and help them kind of go back and visualize their timeline and when something specific happened. So you're able to really take the person, I'd say, above the timeline, but not actually have to live through the feelings of when it happened. Really, really, she's over here getting the pots and pans. So it's really, really, really impactful, but it's not like, oh my God. And let me talk about hypnosis really quick too, is that I think people have this I'm gonna tick-tock, we're going to take you under. It's really not. You have full control of everything. You have awareness. You are listening. It just feels like you're in a really good deep sleep, and it feels good. And then when you wake up, you just feel like, oh, that felt amazing. I just feel like I had a 45-minute nap, and you've maybe been under for 5 minutes, So timeline techniques helps with the limiting beliefs, and then you're able to release it because these beliefs, they begin, let's say, when you're 0 to 7 years old, and then once you figure out where this limiting belief started, you got to think of a string of pearls, and then once you've released this one, well, then it's almost like as if these never happened either. So it's actually really, really cool stuff, and I hope I'm explaining this properly. If there's any of my NLP family watching, please feel free to correct if need be. And then, internal conflict. Now, this is really cool too. So you might find yourself saying, well, part of me wants to do this and part of me wants to do that. And when it comes to internal conflict, we're kind of like this. We're literally like, oh, I don't know which way to go, right? And that there's something that we can do, or that I can do now, which is parts integration. And that just means that I can help you to, help those parts understand that they really have the greatest of intention. They both have the same outcome. They both have the best intention, but for some reason they're in conflict. Because listen, when you have that situation, the part that's in conflict literally does kind of take on its own identity. So what you need to do is bring those together and then, come back to the whole. So it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, the techniques that I've learned are just life-changing. I talked about the anchors that you can do in your knuckles. You can, anchor in the ear. There's stuff that's called the swoosh pattern or swooshing, which is great. So that helps with identity changing. So for example, for me, my swoosh was about being a more loving mom. Not that I'm not a loving mom, but that's just something that's very important to me. And when I find myself, when I shared, a few months ago, how I screamed my head off at Colin for when he walked home from the bus stop because he thought the bus wasn't coming. And I'm like, you just screwed up my whole day, and I just went nuts. And so when you do the swooshing, you are able to visualize somebody that you would like to model and be more like and become more like that person. And so that was very, very powerful. The other thing too, which was mapping across. Oh my gosh, Ayana, she's over here. Sorry about the background noise. Mapping across is really cool. Now this, I was like, wow. So let's say, for example, I'll tell you my story. So I shared recently my Starbucks coffee that I've been drinking. Okay, now we all know this is the way that I see things. If something makes me feel good or look good, I don't mind spending the money. I am definitely one that will invest. However, I do know that coffee can be good, but then it's kind of like it can really get out of hand. So I like to go in waves with my coffee. So with my Starbucks coffee, I decided that it was something that I needed to start to eliminate. So I asked my partner to to map across the feeling that I get if I were to drink a super duper sweet coffee, like I think we mapped over a caramel macchiato or something. Now, if I drink that, oh, it just makes me, yeah, it just gives me that sweet stomach, like I just can't handle the sweets. So now when I think of that coffee that I was drinking, I get the feeling of as if I drank the caramel macchiato. So you're able to map that over, right? So it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example, because you want the items to be similar. It can't be like, at least as far as I know. I don't think it can be something like coffee and Brussels sprouts. I think it has to be a similar type of an item. So that's why I chose those two. So I know that one of my friends that was in the class, he had talked about how he did a lot of mapping across and had lost like a total of 80 pounds just doing things like that. And so, I mean, if you really think about it, if you get, let's say you like, gosh, what's an example? I'm just drawing a blank. But I think the coffee gives you a really good example and some insight on that, So that was really cool. Another thing that I had learned is this I found very interesting, that when we go into recalling information, that our eyes will go in certain directions. And I found that I have what's called a reverse organization. And so what that means is let's say if somebody wasn't trained in this, and let's say I was being interrogated. Okay, so like police officers and things like that. So maybe there are some police officers or private detectives or something that are kind of trained in the eye pattern. I am reversed. So if somebody naturally goes up here to recall an image or a visualization of something, like I say, somebody says, what was the color of your bedroom when you grew up? Normally, somebody would go in this direction to recall that image and bring it forth. I'm on the opposite direction. I go this way. So I was the volunteer in class. Ayana, what's up? I was the volunteer in class. Say, hi, friends. And I was doing my thing, not paying attention to, which direction my eyes were going. And then Ryan says, is she organized or is she reversed? And everybody goes, reversed. And I'm like, I am? Oh, my God. Not that there's anything bad. But being reversed apparently is kind of rare, I think, like a smaller percentage, maybe kind of like a left-handed person, and so that was kind of cool. But the way that your eyes go, somebody that has trained in this, we can see if you're constructing it or if you're recalling it. Diana, just chewing off we can also tell if you're going into an audio in your mind. So it's actually so cool. It's like one of the most amazing tools ever. So anyway, I have so much in my tool belt now. I'm so grateful for the experience, so grateful for the education, so grateful for just the overall experience. The pre-study that I was doing, which I was posting about, it took a lot of sacrifice and commitment. I always say that when you come out of things, like when I would fly with her when she was a baby, I would always, I would embrace the uncomfortable hallway that I was about to go in. And taking this course, it did just that. It stretched me, and that's a term that they use in NLP is we're always looking for the stretch. And it did. It stretched me. It made me realize that I'm way more capable. I can do anything, and so when I had received my certificates, that was such a prideful moment because the former version of myself, not that long ago, would have said, oh, well, I can just kind of do some of the studies while I'm there, or, maybe I'll just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I told myself, you know what, the desired version of you is completed when you get there. The desired version of you is you're on point, you're on time, you got the shit done. You don't want to feel that powerless feeling that you feel because you didn't do it. And in NLP, at least in Transform Destiny, they talk about like, we shoot for excellence. So it's kind of like when you pull back that arrow, and instead of shooting down, you're gonna shoot up. So, it really helped to reinforce the fact that I don't want to be a C average student, that I want to be somebody that is of excellence. And so this whole experience really encompasses that and really helped to reinforce those behaviors. And it was incredible. So I have so much to give. I have so much more to give now. I know that I will be able to help my clients just really even up-level their game so much more. I also have ideas for some programs that I'm creating. I told Paul this weekend, I said, when we learn tapping, I'm going to create a tapping program this weekend. I'm really excited about that because tapping has really been a game changer for myself, and I may have talked about it with you before, but tapping has a lot to do with the limiting beliefs and the anxiety that you might go through. So an example might be, let me see, I wrote down some of my notes here. So, let's say you have guilt over something that you just ate, and so you can kind of tap through that. And, you have this setup statement that you do, and then you have these, there's a pattern, there's a whole different pattern that you go through. So you go here first, it goes here, then here, and here, 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 and then it's underneath the arm, and then it's on the top of the head. So you tap through it. So before you begin your tapping, you evaluate exactly where you are. So you might say, I'm at a level 8 with this. My anxiety, I'm just stressing out over this, or I feel such guilt over this. And you just, we don't want to feel that weighted burden, right? So when you tap through something, it kind of makes you realize that, hey, it's not that big of a deal and everything's going to be okay. Kind of like when you have a person and you talk through it with somebody, but the beautiful thing is with this is that you're able to talk through this yourself. You don't even have to say anything out loud. You can be on an airplane and be tapping through the situation. So it's really good for anxiety and, just stress or, limiting beliefs and things like that. So for me, I felt like right away I have got to get a tapping program out because it can help so many people. So that's what I'm working on this weekend. I just feel like I want to dump that out. But at the end of the day, the big picture is to really, really encompass a lot of these different tools and such, and put together something really incredible. But also in the meantime, be able to help my clients. In addition, I really enjoyed the hypnosis. I can practice hypnosis on people as well. I really enjoyed that a lot, probably because hypnosis was also something that I have done in the past, and I really felt the benefits from it. And so I will absolutely 1000% be doing hypnosis packages for people as well. So just kind of stay tuned for everything that I have that I'm going to be putting out there. I am not going to be sitting here going, yeah, I'll do something with it eventually. No, I'm taking action right now. So it's just a matter of kind of, putting the things out as I'm listening to my inner voice, and I'm putting the things out as I feel natural. And the two biggest things are the tapping, and then also getting things in alignment for the hypnosis. I actually even became an ordained minister for the state of Michigan because I believe that they have it, and it didn't matter regardless if they did or not. Oh my God, there's Michael Stevenson. Hi, Michael. Michael Stevenson is actually the creator of Transform Destiny. So yay, I'm so excited. So Michael, thank you for everything. Thank you for all that you do. And changed my life. So I'm so excited. I was actually just going to show everybody too that this is a really cool pendulum that we got in class, and I've been utilizing this. And this is a really amazing tool as well. So, you know, if you're my client, you'll definitely be, you know, kind of working on that as well, and we'll talk more about that. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I really just gave you like the tip of the iceberg, as they say, of everything that I had learned. But I am forever changed. So grateful for the experience, so grateful for the knowledge, and I just cannot wait to, you know, really take everything to the next level, myself, my business, and anybody that I encounter in my life. So have a wonderful Friday, and take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Say bye-bye.